Um, okay, so more on like how you get a list and do all of that prior to getting an open house.
Yeah, I feel like it would be helpful for us to know exactly how to go about obtaining lists to start cold calling, as well as I feel like something I don't know anything at all about is what you're looking for in an open house property. Like when I decide I want to have an open house this weekend, how do I go about choosing the best property to do that out of? If that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, it does. Okay, awesome suggestion. You would definitely do a training on that, either me or Zoar. So that's definitely a possibility to teach on that. Awesome. What else do you guys feel like you're not getting right now that maybe we can help out with? I know we were talking before about how we're working on in-person activities. So just bear with us, guys. These things, take quite a while. We basically have to go and find, teams that are willing to partner with us, because we have, certain requirements and stuff that we need to go by. And so we're trying to acquire some, teams, EXP teams that would be willing to let you guys shadow them. And so that's currently what we're working on. And so, it's been kind of a struggle. And so, but hopefully, sometime this year, we can get, at least some of that going. Now we do have, obviously we have our California team. We're just trying to figure out, the logistics of that and letting you shadow our team, because we are not, necessarily doing a whole bunch of activities anymore ourselves. So we would rely on our agents to allow you to shadow them on those activities. So just so you guys know, we're still working on that in the background. There's been a lot going on, so we haven't been able to put a whole lot of time into it lately. But that is something that we're still trying to, put into place and get that put into place for you guys. So that way you have more than just computer activities to do. Now, if you guys do come across a team where you're like, this is an amazing team, please be sure to, bring them to us, because we could also consider them for that role. So we would love to interview that team in order to have that in place. And so if you guys do come across anybody, just let us know. So, but you guys are quiet. Are you guys always this quiet with Justin and Zoar, or is it just me? But how do you guys feel the trainings have been going so far with Justin and Zoar?
I think the training's been going good. I know for me, one of the things that I don't like is for the fast starts training. I know we have we can see the slides on the website, GGU website, but it's so much better and more effective when I actually go to the EXP world and I can actually see them give the training, present the training. But it just provides a lot more content than just seeing the slideshow. Yeah. And I know sometimes the classes get canceled, which I understand, but the only way for us to view the training is to have an account, which we don't have because we're not agents.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it is better, than just viewing the slides and actually having, somebody training you. So yeah, definitely don't feel like you can't go to the live training versus, a recording. The suggestion was how to interview a team once you join the XP. I was able to find a team that I like. I interviewed 4 teams and only one was the right fit for me. Okay. So if you want to share, Casey, of how you came to that, just to share with everybody how you came to that decision and, what you were, basically the questions that you asked them and what led you to that.
Right. Sure. Thanks, Tasha. So I just want to start with, this is my last one of these. I graduated this week, so this has been fun. But one thing that I found that was helpful was I put from Zor, he told me to put my resume out on Workplace, and I had 4 teams reach out to me, and I was interviewing a couple, and one of the teams, they no-showed me, so I knew that wasn't the right team. Yeah. One team, the guy told me that he can tell in the first 30 days if someone's going to make it or not. So he was kind of like, oh, I'm the best and you can learn from me. I was like, I didn't like his attitude. But the team that I'm with, I asked them a bunch of questions, like their training, they have weekly trainings. She's growing, so that was important to me to make sure that she was growing. She just iconed. She wants to double her. I wanted a team to have goals. So I did come up with a list of questions. I'll find it. I'll send it in the general Slack channel that I asked all of them. I can't think of them off the top of my head, but I had a good 5-7 questions or something, and then kind of just let her talk, right? So,
right.
One of the important things for me too was to when she was not fill the silence, I wanted to see what she filled the silence with. So she just started talking about herself and her goals, and she just iconed this year, so it's her first time iconing. So I was like, okay, I'm going to learn a lot from someone who's also just kind of really starting out. So that was.
And what team was that?
So I'm on it's called Deal Real Estate Group.
Deal?
Yeah, Deal. That's her last name, Jocelyn Deal, in Indiana.
Oh.
Yeah. And then
that's a good name for a realtor. Deal.
I know. I thought at first that was just she's like, oh hey, the Deal Real Estate Group. She's like, no, my last name's Deal. I was like, okay. And she had jokes and she was funny, so that was important to me to have a light environment.
Yeah.
And then the other guy that interviewed, he was a mega icon, which I was really impressed with, but he didn't really understand technology or how to onboard me.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's like, I don't know how to onboard somebody that's already with EXP. And then I was like, okay, yeah.
He doesn't know how to onboard somebody that's already with EXP, he said?
Right. So I was like, I'm not really sure I want to learn. I mean, I'm sure I could learn a lot from a mega icon, but he just seemed very old school and stuck in the cloud brokerage, right? So
yeah, that's interesting that he doesn't know how to onboard somebody that's already with EXP. I'm like, yeah, there's not really, you're onboarding to your team. You're telling me you don't know how to onboard to your team?
Right. That's I think one of the things he was concerned with was I already had an upline, so maybe he was just trying to. He wasn't maybe cool with that, I guess. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah. So maybe he was.
Maybe he didn't like that. Maybe he's like, well, I don't know what to do for you since you're not going to be in my downline, which I don't necessarily agree with that. I have people on my team, everybody is part of my downline, but it's only because that's just the way that it's kind of panned out. And I actually interviewed somebody this week that's not a part of my downline. And I'm like, there's no, I mean, they're still in fast forward movement. So it makes it a little bit easier to understand who their support is. So, I mean, that's a lot easier when you know who their support is. If somebody doesn't have that support, you're like, oh shoot, well, you don't have that kind of support that the rest of my team does. So what am I going to do? But still, if you know that person has good support, I mean, they should know who, Carl and Dan and all of them are, because they're some of the biggest rev share earners in EXP. So they should definitely know who they are. But yeah, that's interesting. And that's something to also keep in mind is, the team that you're interviewing, are they hiring people that are, not a part of their downline? Because that's going to be something huge. But honestly, I don't think, I mean, obviously it's up to each team, what they want to do, but in my opinion, in my opinion, EXP, we all should be like one big team, and so it shouldn't matter if they're, your downline or not, as long as they're an agent that's, willing to work hard and do all the things you're asking of them, then why does it matter, like, which downline they're a part of?
Right. Still bringing in, revenue to their team. Just because I'm not downline doesn't mean I don't bring you money in a way. So
right,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, because like if you see a lot of those mega teams and icon teams, like I'm an icon agent, but I don't have an icon team yet. But if you look at all of those, like all of those have, agents on their team that are not a part of their downline. So
Right.
I guess maybe if you were a very small team, that could work. But if you're looking to be a big team, that doesn't really work all that well.
Yeah, he's already capped for the year and stuff. Like I follow him on Facebook and I'm like, I'm gonna take your revenue share up here, so for not letting me join. So
Right.
yeah, but no, it was interesting interviewing a bunch of teams. And I was telling Justin Smith, I think before, that it's our chance, to kind of pick who we want to be with instead of being told where to go.
Yeah.
So it was important for me to find, I don't want to just settle this time, right? So
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I have a prior video that I did when I was doing all of the ScoBridge trainings on how to choose a brokerage. And I think it was also how to choose a team, because there's certain things that you definitely want to know, like what is your split? Do you get a different split if it's their leads or your leads? You should definitely get a higher split, in my opinion, if it's your leads, because they're not the ones having to put the time and the resources into it. So you should definitely, get a higher split if you're the one bringing the lead. That's how it is on my team. You get a higher split. You should know if there's any sort of bonuses or anything. Like for our team, we have bonuses in place that kind of replaces the icon program, because like if you're on a team at EXP, you can't icon if you're at a half cap, which you are at a half cap if you're on our team. So we came up with a bonus structure to where we bonus you out as if you are an icon once you hit a certain level of production. So there's like things like that also that, you might want to take into consideration, not just you, but just anybody that's looking to join the team on this call. And knowing, because a lot of people think like, oh, well, I'm going to join a team and they're going to give me all of the leads that I need. And that may not be the case. So make sure that's one of the questions that you ask them. Like, will you be providing the main source of leads? Because that's, teams aren't always going to do that. Some teams, like my team, we do provide some leads, but we tell our agents don't bank on that and don't, use that as your sole source, because, David and I are only two people, so we can only, give you so many leads. And so you have to go, if you want to be a full-time agent and feed yourself, you have to go and produce your own leads, and ours just are sprinkled on top. And so there are different team structures out there, obviously. Some people do provide all of the leads on their team. We were doing that for a while, but that's when we were a very small team, less than 5 people. Now it's obviously not, doable to do that. So, what kind of support do you get? When can you, if it's not the team lead that's going to be the sole one helping you, who's going to be there to ask for you to ask questions, especially if you're thinking about joining a bigger team. You may have like the team lead, and then maybe that team lead has a sales director and this other person, and you have a mentor. So there could be different people that you're going to rely on other than the team lead. And maybe you really like the team lead and you're like, well, if I don't get the team lead, I don't want to be on the team. Or, well, how are these other people going to be supporting me? Because that's definitely something to think about, especially if you're joining like a mega icon team. Because honestly, like it's probably not the team lead that's going to be there, asking you a question or, assisting you, throughout the process. Because some people are like, okay, you're going to onboard with this person, then you're going to go to the sales director, but then you also have a mentor. So So yeah, there's some things to think about if you guys are, wanting to join a team, because you may not always have direct access to that team lead. So that's a good question to ask. Somebody say something? Well, maybe not. And then let's see what else. What kind of training do they provide? EXP provides training, but maybe they provide additional training for newbies and new agents coming onto their team. Because EXP has Fast Start and some other programs as well to help new agents, but sometimes teams have people there to help you. Right now, I'm pretty much everything. And so, like for me, we have Slack for our team as well. A lot of our Scobridge stuff we model for our team. So in our team, we have Slack as well. So our agents are primarily communicating with us through Slack. So me and David through Slack. And then like, obviously, if they're going through a transaction, that's me. I'm the one helping them through the transaction. But not all teams are like that. Nothing, not right or wrong there. It's just of who they have in place and how big of a team they are. And what they decide to do. So anybody have any questions so far? I know I'm kind of randomly giving you guys a training on interviewing a team, but I figure I'd go with it in case he brought it up. But yeah, there's multiple things to consider when you're joining a team. Or do they have weekly team meetings? What are their requirements? Are you required to go to all of the team meetings? What happens if you don't go to the team meetings? Do they kick you off the team? What happens if you don't meet a certain level of production? They could kick you off the team. If you don't have, your first sale in 3 months or 6 months, they could kick you off the team for, if you don't have 6 sales in the past 3 months. I don't know what it is, but there's, all teams implement different sort of structures. And so our team is kind of a relaxed, like really relaxed team. We don't have any production requirements. And so we're kind of chill, and it could be to our detriment though, but we're pretty chill team. We don't kick you off the team if you haven't produced. And then also asking what kind of tools and systems that you get set up on, like what kind of CRM you have. Of course, EXP agents all have KB Core, but some teams have different CRMs. Like we have Follow Up Boss that we set up our whole team on, and that's how we distribute leads. So that's what we do for ours, and then there could be other tools and systems that are provided. Some teams provide other systems for free. So just, that's also something to think about if you're looking to join a team. Let's see. Some EXP teams have offices, some don't. Like our team doesn't have an office because we basically go off of EXP's model of not having a physical location. So, but some do, like Kyle and Dan Whistle, or Kyle and Dan Whistle, they're not married. Kyle Whistle and Dan Beard, they have offices. Coming Fast up in the Sacramento area has an office. So there's various teams that have offices. So just because it's EXP doesn't mean that they don't have an office. They do have, some of them do have physical locations. So those are just some of the things to look for. All right. Anybody have any questions on that, or anybody have anything else that they want to bring up? Not that we're doing like on the fly training, but we could. But what else? We're going on in you guys' pace and whatever you want to talk about.
I kind of have an unrelated question, kind of random. Do you know where you find the offer forms for Florida? Because I have a potential buyer that I'm working with that I don't know how to write an offer.
I know, it's so like confusing. So let me actually do a screen share so the way I can show you. I swear this is one of the most confusing things that I'm like, I'm a California realtor and I can't figure out how to find the Florida forms. Because I'm also licensed there, and I'm like, how in the world do I do it? And so, you know how you log into your Stellar MLS or your MLS? I don't know what part of MLS you're What MLS are you a part of, Justin? Stellar, Vanessa? Yeah, for Florida. Yeah, I'm part of Stellar too. Okay. All right, so I will share my screen. For any Florida agents on this call, they're like, how in the world do I access my forms? All right, so you're gonna go log in.
Oh, see.
Should be coming up. You can see it now? Yes, no, maybe.
I think he might have froze.
Oh. Is he still on this call? I can't see anymore because I'm sharing my screen.
It doesn't look like it, ma'am.
Oh man. Maybe he'll pop back in. JC, I like your little thing on the wall.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
I did have a question, Tasha, while we're waiting for him.
Okay, go for it.
So on the opposite end, if you decide to not join a team and go solo, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, you could definitely do that and go solo because teams aren't for everybody, right? And so even if you're new, you can make it without a team. I made it without a team. It's just a lot easier when you have like that support there. When when you're going off on your own for the first 3 transactions, you'll have to have a mentor. And so those can be kind of hit or miss. Some mentors are good, some mentors are bad. But you can definitely go it alone. You just won't necessarily have, that team structure support there behind you, but it's definitely doable. It's just whenever you start out with a team, you have so many, they're paying for some leads, they're, providing some tools and systems that you wouldn't necessarily pay out of pocket for. Like, I know for me, whenever I was, first doing cold calling, I was at that time, and that was like 8 years ago now, so it was a lot cheaper. But for me at the time, paying $60 a month for like RedX data, that was a lot for me. And so when you're first starting out, like $60 a month can be a lot. And so, sometimes, being a part of a team when they're providing those sort of things helps. Like we were paid for RedX for our team. We ended up canceling it because the data is just crappy. Like the data was horrible. Nobody, there was never a right number. It was giving us agent numbers, which was really weird. But that data wasn't great, but we were providing that at like $300 a month for the team. And basically they would just like sign up and like, hey, I want 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. and I'll call leads. So, I mean, there's benefits and to joining a team, and then there's benefits to going on your own as well. Because you can't actually set your own schedule, because some teams are like, if you don't show up at 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., then, you can't be on our team. So, did Justin come back?
Sorry about that. My internet went out. Been having problems with AT&T.
Oh, okay. That's all right. It was funny because I saw you and it was like you were, it was like you were just listening, but
Perfect timing.
yeah. All right. So I'll get back to you, Dave. I think you had your hand up. So
no worries.
Here we go. So sign in. But JC, did that help? Did that kind of give you a little bit more clarity, or?
Yes, I did. Thank you. I only asked because my wife, she joined the team. She's an EXP as well. And some of the things that you mentioned, I wish she would have known prior, because now we're kind of like backtracking. So
yeah.
I don't really want to go that route with the team that's currently here locally. So just was curious.
Okay. All right, so you go up, once you log into your MLS, Justin, it'll bring this up, and you'll products and services is near the top. What MLS are you a part of, Justin? Are you
Northeast Florida, so they use Flex MLS.
They use Flex MLS, so it may look a little bit different. But try to see if there's anything called products and services. There should be something to that effect. And then there's form simplicity. And so it's one of the resources that they have, form simplicity. Also, you can pay for zip forms and have access through there as well. But you'll see like it brings up the forms when you log into it. So I don't know if you want to go try that and see if you can find it.
There's forms built into the MLS. It's pretty much everything. I found everything except for an offer form. So I don't know where the offer form is at.
Huh. Yeah, it should be, they should have some sort of form simplicity or some other type of thing that allows you to log into, to have access to forms. I don't know why it has to be like so complicated. I couldn't find it. I was just like, I feel so dumb, like I can't even find these forms, but eventually I found it. But if yours is different, something, there may be different products and sources that they provide. But you could, well, you can't use Sky Slope. There's a couple other ones that people were saying that they use, but I'm not being very helpful because I can't even remember what they are. Because it's not ones that I'm used to people saying that they're using. But form simplicity, and then I use zip forms for both my California and Florida forms. But
I just found it. It's on there. Form simplicity.
Okay. Yeah. It's not very user friendly, so I don't really like form simplicity. I'm actually pretty good at technology, but I couldn't figure out how in the world to send out a document to get signed. So I ended up having to download it and putting it into DocuSign and placing all the signatures myself, because I was like, how in the world do I do this? So, but yeah, that's how you access it.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Dave.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask if you guys have used something in place of RedX now. Have you guys found a replacement for it, or are you guys still kind of searching for that?
Excuse me.
Yeah. All good.
So people were talking about Vulcan 7 and Espresso Agent as well.
Espresso Agent?
Espresso Agent.
Okay, I'll look into that.
Kind of like coffee. Yeah.
All good.
Agent. I heard those are better than RedX. Yeah, RedX data is just isn't good.
Okay. I almost wonder if RedX's data might be better in my scenario, being in a smaller market where people aren't moving around quite so much.
I don't know, because it's just the data was inaccurate. Nobody, like the owner, there was a bunch of wrong numbers, so it wasn't accurate. So I don't know that that's going to necessarily help you with being in a smaller market. I would check out Vulcan 7 or Espresso Agent, because I heard those are way better.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I've heard Dan Beer talk about Vulcan 7.
Yeah.
I'll look into that. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, RedX was good because of all of the different tools they provided. Like you can do circle prospecting, they have expired data, FSBO data, all of that. But then if it's not accurate data, then it's not helpful at all, because we had a virtual assistant that was calling for us, and then we also had our agents calling for us, or not for us, but for them. And they're like, yeah, I can't, pretty much every number was incorrect. And though you are going to find that whenever you do pay for those sort of resources, that the data is definitely not always going to be accurate, but just to the level that it was at in RedX, it just wasn't good. It wasn't providing, a good, wasn't correct. And so my agent is like, I'm just, I started trying to, change my script up so the way I can convert the people who had the wrong numbers, because they just didn't have, like, okay, I know this isn't your number, but are you looking to buy or sell real estate? So
Nice.
yeah.
How did that go? Did you guys see any success from that?
From what?
From trying to convert the wrong numbers?
No.
Mhm.
No. Because like if you think about it, like the people are he did really good at trying to convert them. It was just the fact that like it's just a random person, rather than like, okay, this person is trying to sell their home, so let me try to convert them. So but yeah. But what's cool is that see, I don't know if Vulcan 7 or Espresso Agents or Espresso Agent allows for circle prospecting. Because like, for example, if you have an open house, you could call 100 people around that open house and let them know that, you have an open house coming up. So at least you have like a good reason to reach out to them. So I don't know. I always like those sort of things rather than just calling people. I know it's still calling people randomly, but I feel like I have more of a purpose. So
right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. But you can also do like a slide broadcast to them. So I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but that's basically where you drop a voicemail. So it doesn't ring their phone, it just drops a voicemail.
No, I haven't.
Or it does like half a ring and drops a voicemail.
And what's that called?
Slide broadcast.
Slide broadcast?
You can even do it for like I've done it for listings that I've had, to where I will, list it up and then I'll drop voicemails to 100 neighbors.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that.
It's like, you're invited to our open house this weekend from 1 to 4 p.m. on blah, blah, blah street. And, you can do all sorts of things with slide broadcast.
Oh, this is a subscription service too?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, their prices aren't bad though.
No, they're not. They're not bad at all.
It's like 10 cents per voicemail delivery.
Right. And it's good for farming too. So do your farm area.
Yeah, that makes sense. That actually leads me to another question, Tasha.
Yeah.
How do you go about choosing an area to farm? Are you essentially just what would you say you're looking for when trying to choose the area that you want to farm? Are you looking for an area that you just like and know well, or is it more so trying to find one that no other agents are really targeting?
Oh, good luck with that. Yeah, no, I mean, it could be multiple things, right? You could be finding an area that, you just like, and you're like, oh, I really want to farm this area. And it could be a gated community. It could be, typically you're looking for less than 600 homes because you're looking for something that you can consistently market to on a, at least a quarterly basis, sending out, postcards. You can send out postcards, circle prospect them, slide broadcast them, door knock them, as long as that, gated communities are usually a little bit more, tight and not allow you to do door knocking. But you should pick a community of 600 or less homes. And then, you also want to make sure. So basically you're going to go to your title rep, and go to your title officer, and because they're going to basically be your resource for things like that. And so you're like, hey, I need to pull this farm area. Can you pull this for me? And a lot of title companies nowadays have apps as well, so that way you don't have to go to them and ask them for that. But sometimes I like to do it old school and just ask them to pull farm data for me, so that way I don't have to do it. And so they'll send that to you, right? But you want to make sure to ask them for, what is it, a 7 to 10% turnover rate. So you want to make sure that that community that you're prospecting and farming has a decent turnaround rate, because you don't want people that are just staying in their homes for like forever. So don't pick a community where everybody's lived there for 50 plus years and they're not going anywhere ever. You want to pick a community where there's a decent amount of turnover rate. Maybe you're choosing a neighborhood that doesn't have too many other agents in it. I mean, you're likely going to have a few agents marketing. Like in my community, there's 610 homes here. So I try to market to that one because I'm already in it. You know, people already know me. Not everybody knows me, but you know, for the most part, people already know me. And then of course, you're still going to have people that are coming in for different brokerages and such, because that's just the name of the game, right? And that's just, is always good how it's going to be, no matter what market you are, no matter how good you are, there's always going to be market share, right? But picking a community where maybe there's not as many, but you also want to pick a good community. So I would, you know, definitely plan on there being other agents in the farm area that you choose, especially with a decent turnover rate. And so just going to them and letting them know, like, hey, I want to market this area. You know, can you let me know what the turnover rate is? And so they'll be able to tell, you know, help you out with that and figure out, you know, how many people are selling their homes every year. So does that help?
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And now I understand why you guys have target your community within
We
your
have a good turnover rate in here. So people are always
yeah, that makes a lot of sense, especially in condos like that.
Yeah, because you think about it, like people move into a 1 to 2 bedroom condo, say they have a baby, now, you know, maybe they need to move up. And a lot of people do that here, where, you know, they move in and it's like, you need to just get into your first home. So it's a good first home for people. And then maybe they move somewhere else in the community and they move to a 3-bedroom townhome instead of a 2-bedroom condo.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, if you farm an area on a consistent basis, you should just consistently get listings off of that. If you're doing everything that you need to be doing, you know, you should be getting listings consistently all the time. Especially if you're doing all of those things. You're sending out postcards, because just sending out postcards, I think that's one of the things that people get confused about. Well, I can just consistently send out postcards. No, you actually have to talk to people. You have to do calling. You have to door knock them. If you're not doing those things, so say for example, my community, you're not allowed to door knock, right? And so maybe you're hosting events instead of that, you know, doing the door knocking. You're doing something to get your face and your name out there. Like we also have a Facebook group. So a lot of communities have Facebook groups, and that's not only gated communities. Like you could live in, you know, just a neighborhood, and maybe that neighborhood has a Facebook page. So, you know, trying to get to them as much as you can. Like Real Scout is a, basically it pulls from the MLS and you can set up your clients on searches and stuff in there. But the thing that I, you know, like is they have the market updates. So you can send people market updates weekly, monthly, bi-weekly, whatever that you want to get set up for them. So that way you stay top of mind. And so you can do, you know, the method of, you know, just trying to get people to sign up for your market update and just saying, hey, would you like to receive monthly updates of homes that have sold in your community? Now it's not you trying to sell them something, it's you trying to provide some sort of value to them to get, you know, to get their info. You know, if you're emailing them, you already have their email, but then at least you're providing some extra sort of value there instead of just spamming them like, hey, are you ready to sell? Like every other realtor is doing. So, but yeah, you're emailing them, calling them, Facebook messaging them, you know, whatever you can do to get in front of them, that's what you're doing.
Okay. Yeah, that's helpful. And so I've heard before from another agent I know that there's a way that you can set up customized email drops to people or clients you have who might be looking a little bit out. You might have like say cold leads who are looking to, hot leads looking to buy in a year from now, you could set up an email tailored to them where it will automatically send them properties that hit the market. Is that going to be through your MLS or through something like Real Scout?
No, that would be something through your CRM, your client relationship manager.
Okay.
So basically, client relationship manager is a fancy term for that's where all your leads go. And so that's the people that you're nurturing. That's where you're going to nurture all your leads. That's where you're going to call all of your leads. Everything that you're doing should be out of your CRM. Whatever it is, there's no right or wrong answer as far as CRMs go. You can use KV Core, you can use Follow Up Boss, you can use, there's a ton of other ones, Lion Desk, because some of, MLSs usually provide some sort of CRM for free. And so you can see like what your MLS provides, but then also your brokerage is going to provide you some sort of CRM. EXP is always KV Core. KV Core is great. It's a very, very powerful tool. We just like Follow Up Boss for a team because you can just see more in there. But yeah, that's where you're going to do, like, you can do squeeze pages out of KV Core for like, okay, who's looking for homes under 500,000. So, you can pick up leads that way from the squeeze page, because then they go in and enter their data in, and then then that's your lead that's in your database. But yeah, you always want to create some sort of follow-up, some sort of drip on them to make sure that, you're staying top of mind, because if you think about it, if you're a competitive person, then this should really kick you into gear. Usually if you're contacting them, so are like 20 plus other realtors. So if that doesn't kick you into gear, I'm not even that competitive, and that makes me want to like fight. Oh yeah, all right, I'm going to fight for this client. Because if you think about it, like a lot of people just use the realtor that's in their face at that time, right? So whoever is top of mind, like we made a mistake in here in our community, where we helped a neighbor we helped her mom find a rental in the community. And we also had multiple conversations with them about listing their home. Well, guess what? We still didn't get that listing because it had been months that went by, because they weren't ready yet. It had been months that went by. And I was just like, oh shoot, they listed with this other realtor that also farms this neighborhood. And I was just like, I reached out to her, because you're allowed to reach out and get feedback. You're not allowed to obviously reach out and try to steal them back. But I reached out and I was just like, hey, like, I noticed you listed with so-and-so. What could we have done better? And she's like, if you just would have followed up with me on a monthly basis, that would have been great. And so, I always like to get constructive criticism back, because I always want to know what I could have done better. And so I'm like, oh shoot, that's all I had to do. If I was using my CRM the way I should have been, it should have been like, okay, so-and-so, isn't ready yet, follow up in a month. And so like every month, just touch that person, so the way they don't forget about me. And so even though she knew who I was, he was just there at the right time and I wasn't. And unfortunately, I just, was like, well, we have a great connection. I helped her mom find a place. Like, she knows who I am. I'm going to get the listing. And I didn't get the listing, and it sucked because it was $1 million+ listing that I lost.
Wow.
Yeah. So I always like to tell people the mistakes that I make, so the way you don't make the same mistakes.
Yeah, it's definitely helpful.
Like you lose out on like a $30,000 commission, that definitely hurts.
Oh, I'm sure. I can imagine.
Yeah. Right. But thanks for the questions, Dave. Appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you for your help. I appreciate that.
Yep. All right, guys. Anybody else have any other questions? I feel like when I ask that, people's brains go blank. You have any other questions? No? Anything else, guys? All good, Casey? Cool. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to go ahead and let you go early. if you guys do have any other questions, just, you know, feel free to message us and we'd be happy to answer any questions that you guys have. But until we have updates, I would just plan on attending those Monday morning masterminds every Monday at 10 a.m. PST. Conrad is always really good at posting those, and he usually posts the password there too. But if you guys ever need anything, let us know. Thank you guys. Have a great day.
Thanks, Tasha. Have a good one.
Thanks. Bye-bye.